Shalom, Akim, Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. I want to send double honor for the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to you, Akim. I'm out there pushing the word sincerity and truth. It's the brother Ariala, and I got the brother Laquan on here with me out of London. Is a bit under the weather, but like before we started, there's so much going on. He didn't want to wait any longer before we put this on wax and kind of just talk about a few things that's happening geopolitically and geoeconomically. We want to touch on some things right now. The economy is on fire, and I definitely want to just touch on some basic things and just kind of just go over different things in the economy and around the world in general. You know, first thing that I would like to do is talk about the stock market. Today, the stock market had another significant drop, to 24,442.92 in the Dow Jones. And this is just indicative of something, bigger that could be possibly playing in the background. What I wanted to highlight right here, when you look at January 1st, the stock market, the Dow Jones was at 25,295. If y'all brothers can see that right there. Okay. Now the blue arrow is showing you where the market is today. So when you're looking at these numbers, you can see that for the year of 2018, all the gains that was made in the market have been lost. Okay. Now, if this trend continues to happen, what will happen is you'll start to see the different corporations will have to start cutting back because the profits are down. So in 2019, you'll see layoffs and kind of the similar things that you saw during the 2008 recession. Is when unemployment basically skyrocketed because none of these could afford to keep people on. And so that goes into what the scriptures talk about as the grinding ceasing, so to speak. The market's beginning to slow down, and all the funny money that had been pumped into the economy, basically those dollars are just become inflated and useless. Okay. Did you have anything out?
Yeah, I got a precept.
Okay, what you got?
This is the book of Sirach 11 and 14. It says prosperity, prosperity and adversity, life and death, poverty and riches come of the Lord. And the reason I bring that out is because the stock market, and pretty much the whole economy has played a part in making a lot of these Edomites rich through these bubbles that they create, like the stock market and things like that. But it's a beautiful thing that the Lord is going to orchestrate it where when the stock market crashes, man, a lot of Edomites are going to be left holding the bag. Their riches are going to disappear, man. And that's by the hand of the Lord. And that's coming because a lot of these Edomites that got money, they trust in the stock market. They trust in these economies, man. But all these economies are going to crash.
Yeah. And it's a basic inevitability, and I think we're starting to come into that ultimate paradigm shift. They're gonna try to roll this thing over into what we know the scriptures talk about, the market of beasts and their whole system. And we're starting to see some of the transitions. We've been monitoring all the institutional setups that they've been doing, all these different banks being created, all these different types of trade deals being changed up, and basically we know that something in the background is going on because there's more and more rumors upon rumors. There's more and more basically global positionings by these nations to come out on top, you know? So I wanted to play this one clip by Peter Schiff. This is something that I was listening to today. I tried to catch it at a good point in time. So hopefully we kind of catch some of the juicy stuff here. Did you have anything else?
No. We could go into it after. I just got a few articles on the economy, but I know you got this clip, so let's roll with this, Mark.
All right, let's go.
Off the market. It needs to say that we're not going to be shrinking the balance sheet. But then, of course, these budget deficits are going to continue to explode because even the Fed pausing on rate hikes is not going to undo the damage that has already been done by the rate hikes that have already taken place. The recession is going to start. It doesn't matter if the Fed pauses. The recession is going to happen anyway. And, of course, the confidence that was there is going to go. We're going to see what happens as a result of these midterms. You know, I'm still listening on television, and you still have all these Republicans, particularly on Fox News, saying that the reason the market is going down is because people are afraid that the Democrats are going to get the House. Look, people have known the Democrats were going to get the House the entire time the market was rising. I mean, that was a foregone conclusion. In fact, the Republicans have a better chance of keeping the House now than people thought a few months ago when the stock market was going up. So the fact that the Democrats might take the House is not the reason that the market is falling. In fact, if anything, the Democrats taking the House helps the Republicans in that they can at least try to blame the congressional Democrats for the next recession. I mean, that's what the next election is going to be all about. It's not going to be about who gets credit for the boom. It's going to be about who takes the blame for the bust. So we already know that Trump is going to blame the Fed, but blaming the Fed may not be enough. Trump needs to be able to blame the Democrats. And the best way to blame the Democrats is if the Democrats at least have at least one house, if not both houses. Because if the Republicans control the House and the Senate and the presidency, and we're in a recession, well, how do they blame the Democrats? I mean, they can only blame the Fed, but they can't blame the Democrats. But if at least the Democrats have some power, then it makes more sense where at least you got some kind of script where you can say, oh, you see, it's because they screwed up our agenda by blocking the things that we wanted to do. So maybe the Democrats winning the House or the Senate could be the best thing that happens to the Republican chances in 2020, but I still don't buy it. My experience is when the ship goes down, they blame the captain. And the captain of the ship is the president. And unfortunately, he is captain of the Titanic. And we're about to hit an iceberg, and everybody on the ship is going down. The ship is going to sink, and it's not going to be the cabin boys or even the other officers that are going to get blamed. It's going to be the captain of the ship who is telling us all is clear. It's going to be smooth sailing. Everything is great. The ship is unsinkable. And then when it goes down, it's going to be a mutiny. It's going to be the captain that takes the blame. And unfortunately, we're going to have an all Democratic crew in 2020, and they're all going to
this is kind of something that me and you talked about on previous algorithms, how they brought in Trump with his populist / nationalistic ideology, similar to what they were doing with Theresa May over there in the UK. And then once they start instituting these policies, that the central banks, the elite, were going to use this as a reason to say, look, populism / nationalism doesn't work. These tariffs that China is putting on don't work. We need a new global system. And so as Trump and his ideologies begin to be pushed, as we lead into the Brexit, we could possibly start to see the economy be self-destructed so they could justify a whole new system being brought in, Yeah. And what we're watching what we're watching is them using and putting propaganda in and around the media to kind of justify this transition that they want to bring. You know, I want to just, you know, go here in Daniel real quick and read this in Daniel chapter 2, verse 40. It says, "And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided." And this is new Roman Empire all over again. America is definitely has been an iron hammer, so to speak, to the world. And with the advancement of its military, with its ability to go in and put all these military bases all across the world, it is that iron, you know, that has subdued all the other nations round about. Much more, just like the Roman Empire did, you know, the ancient Roman Empire. This is that Roman Empire all over again. But now we see internally it's mixed with this clay, you know. So it says that in verse 41, "And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so is the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay." And that's why we're seeing all these tumults around about, where you got the issue with the immigration, this caravan of people coming up to the border of America coming from Central America. You see the issues of racism being raised more and more, from Colin Kaepernick to the Black Lives Matter movement, to now you got these so-called Trump supporters bombing people, shooting up synagogues. You know, you got the whole Me Too movement with women, you know, screaming for more social justice, and they're being plagued at the workforce and treated misogynistically by men. And now, you know what I'm saying? All of these things are happening because this place has mingled itself with the seed of men. And you got all these different ideologies and ways of being mixing and mingling, and there's no strong mesh. Okay. And so, even more, you got these Republicans and Democrats fighting, creating these counter wars, creating propaganda on each side. You're the problem with the economy. You're the problem with society. I was listening to a guy. I was at Wells Fargo. I was at the bank, and this one guy, I couldn't tell if he was a Hamite or if he was a Jake, whatever. He sits by me, and he's listening to CNN talk about. Basically, they had Republicans on CNN saying, "Man, I wish I never would have voted for Donald Trump. It was one of the worst decisions of my life. He's just such an evil man. He's just this, he's just that. Look at the way that America's going because he's gotten in there." And they're blaming Trump for all this. And it's just like, bro, you voted for him, dog. And it wasn't a mystery of who the guy was, you know. But you see also that CNN is that platform for them to just push all these things out. You know what I'm saying, Doc?
Yeah, Khan, this is so multifaceted, man.
Yeah. And I think this economy right now and the direction that it's going is just basically something that's going to be used to create more and more separation amongst the people, you know? Let's see. There was one clip that I wanted to pull. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, there it is right there. Yeah. Do you have a scripture or anything you want to bring out real quick?
I was just gonna make a point on
Yeah. Let's go.
what he said about these nations being partly weak. Pretty
Uh-huh.
much all the in the world, I mean, technically the EU and America are supposed to be the strongest economic nations. You know, they got like the G7, the G8, the EU 27 is a strong bloc, but ultimately all these nations have got problems. They're all in debt. They all got serious problems, man. Beginning with America. And the problem is that usually, like when you go back into Rome, when Rome was falling into problems, they would just go and conquer another nation. Because when you conquer the nation, you spoil that nation. So then you can use those spoils to basically hold yourself up. The problem is that these nations have spoiled everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got over here with the Brexit, Britain is basically breaking away from the EU, and they're relying on doing trade with the old empire, the the what's it called, the so-called emerging economies. All right, but they're really broke. Even compared to the EU, they're broke. So everyone's really hurting. And what's happening is they used to have this hegemony where they could bully people into getting what they want. But because of the Lord rising up Russia and their allies, slowly they really can't bully their way into a favorable position. They're losing their favorable position. That's why it's all going to come down to war at the end of the day. It's all going to come back to war. We did the algo going into the Belt and Road project. The East is rising, and it's chipping away at America and even the EU's ability to boss people about and get what they need. So ultimately, they're going to go to war. And that's why we're seeing, as these economic things happen in America and around the world, you're also seeing at the same time a ramping up of the militarization of Russia, of China. China's projecting their power more globally because they understand that ultimately it's going to come down to war. America ain't going to go down without a fight. And can I send you a clip, Art?
Absolutely, bro.
Because Putin more and more is just he don't care, man. He's just saying what it is. Let me send you it on the Hangouts.
Okay. Got a brother on here. Judah Judges put Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Then you skip down to verse 10. It says, the righteous shall be glad in Yahweh Bashem Yahushua and shall trust him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. Yeah, we see these pundits and all these different media factions and states really come against each other, you know? And that's why I got this one article pulled up called America's Next Civil War. You got that sent, Ak?
Yeah, I got that sent. Let me just get this scripture real quick. This is Job 15, verse 19. It says, unto whom alone the earth was given, and no stranger passed among them. The wicked man travaileth with pain all his days. And you can really see the American system, the global system is in pain right now. It's in pain. No matter what country you go to, there's serious issues in them countries, man. That's why when what's his name? What's that guy's name, man? Childish Gambino. He made that song, This Is America. Well, you had people from pretty much every country in the world who made their own version to that song. And was basically showing how all these countries are fucked up. They're in debt. And they're really chasing what they're not going to get, because they all going to go down. But it says, the wicked man travaileth with pain all his days, and the number of years hidden to the oppressor. All right? Because America has been an oppressor, man. Like, if you go back in history and you look at what America and their corporations did to South America, I mean, there's a lot of Edomites sitting on billions because of what them corporations did in America. A lot of Edomites are sitting on a nice retirement fund based upon investing in them companies. You see what I'm saying? It says here, a dreadful sound is in his ears, in prosperity, the destroyer shall come upon him. Right? So now they're going down into desolation. He believeth not that he shall return out of darkness, and he is waited for of the sword. He wandereth abroad for bread. And that's what you see these devils are trying to do. They're trying to basically, they're trying to renegotiate and reestablish their domination. That's what Britain's trying to do. That's why Theresa May went all them trips over to Africa, dancing and shit, begging them African leaders for trade deals. That's exactly what the scripture says. He wandereth abroad for bread, saying, where is it? Now, how is it that these Edomites these Edomite nations are in such a dire state if they've robbed everybody? That shows you this man is a problem. All right? The amount of money and riches that this man has stolen from the earth, his nation should be a fucking utopia for all the citizens. But you go to any of these Western countries, what do you see on the streets of London? Countless homeless people living hand to mouth, people hooked on drugs, fiends running the streets.
Gone.
He said he wandereth abroad for bread, saying, where is it? He knoweth that the day of darkness is ready at hand. All right, it's coming, man. You know, all these games they want to play, they could do whatever they want to do. At the end of the day, this whole thing is going to collapse in complete confusion. Complete confusion.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Even, you know, you got all types of stuff happening. Even with Merkel leaving, it's going down, bro. It's going down. I didn't get that you sent. Did you send it again? Because I don't see it.
Let me send it again. Yeah, check it out now. I should have gone there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, let me go ahead and pull that up real quick.
And all of this is going to lead to war. The more Russia attack the dollar, you know, and set up systems to come up against the SWIFT system, the more it's going to lead to war.
This was yesterday, huh? When was this?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is like last week, I think.
Last week. I like how Putin be sitting in that chair. He always be sitting like he just chilling, bro. Okay, I'm going to play this clip right here. The title says, "The dollar has no future. Putin ready to go after the U.S.'s ace in the hole." Now, got a few articles and information.
Использование доллара в международных расчетах. Ну, это не я же только говорю. Посмотрите, президент Франции недавно сказал об этом. Он сказал, что Европа должна повысить свой экономический и финансовый суверенитет. Что это значит? Это значит уход от доллара. А это крупнейший торгово-экономический партнер Соединенных Штатов. Я вот говорил недавно, что наши американские друзья режут сук, на котором сидят, потому что они подвергают сомнению надежность доллара как универсального инструмента международных расчетов. Это, повторю еще раз, на мой взгляд, это типичная ошибка империи. Почему? Потому что это не ругательное слово. Я сейчас никого не ругаю, ни на кого не наезжаю. Потому что империя всегда думает, что она может допустить какие-то ошибочки, она может пойти на какие-то издержки, потому что ее мощь такова, что это ничего не значит. Но количество этих издержек и ошибочек, оно неизбежно нарастает. Наступает момент, когда с этим уже не справиться. Ни в сфере безопасности, ни в сфере экономики.
So I don't know if you brothers was able to keep up with what Putin is saying here. If you were reading along, he was mentioning how the country of France is looking to have more sovereignty, and then that Europe in general wants to have more economic sovereignty. And he says, what does this mean? This means de-dollarization. And he goes on to state that you know, an empire thinks that it can do little things here and there and it won't hurt their empire, thinks that they can make certain mistakes, what he calls mistakes. He says, but over time, these mistakes basically build and pile up, and it puts the empire under threat. Here he thinks security and economically, in terms of security and economics. And this, like we've been saying, Great Millstone through the Spirit and Power Yahweh Shemyaw Shai has been saying this the whole time. When you read in the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter, which we can, you know, we can touch on it real quick. But when you read in Revelation 18, you go to Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, Obadiah, you know, what is it talking about? It's talking about this state, this hegemony, this power system being shaken up economically and as far as their security, man. And this is what we're seeing. Okay. Now, when you read Revelation 18, verse 3, no, I'm saying verse 2, it says, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is becoming the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Right? So this is that economic, you know, this is that economic and political sense with all the kings of the earth committing fornication and all the merchants of the earth, right? But in verse 2, what does it say? It's fallen, man. Verse 4 says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sin, and ye receive none of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she had filled, fill her double. Right? So basically, it's a proclamation that bad things is coming. Okay? When you skip down to verse 8, it says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire, for strong is the Lord power who judgeth her. Okay? So there's an economic and a military, you know, turmoil getting ready to come to this place. Okay? You want me to keep going on this one out?
I mean, pretty much, that's the point.
Kind. You know? So that just leans in more on what we're saying, because they've been mingled and mixed with men, like we're reading in Daniel, the 2nd chapter. You're starting to see that this kingdom is divided, and it's producing more and more rumblings, more and more wars and rumors of wars, more and more tumults amongst the people. And I just want to read a couple of more articles and look at a couple more clips, because now it's getting to where, while we call this World War III algorithm a paradigm shift, we're seeing that we're at a point to where the way that your world currently works, we're shifting into a whole new way. Okay? And it's going to lead to all-out chaos on the planet Earth, man.
Can I get 2 quick scriptures up, Baba Kasha, before you get to that point?
Please, please.
It's just Proverbs 13:10. It said, only by pride cometh contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom. And that pretty much goes in that for a long time, Russia was cool. Russia was chilling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it was NATO and America that moved in pride and offense against Russia. For going back to the 90s onwards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what led to the rise of Putin, because pretty much Russia couldn't take it no more. Because America kept taking and taking and taking. Mm-hmm. So it kind of goes into what Putin said, is like these empires, they become proud and they start making mistakes. They start making enemies because they don't think they can ever be taken down. They're the one that drove Russia to the point where they are today. We know obviously it's prophecy, but the prophecy has been fulfilled through their own foolish pride. American exceptionalism. And that's what Putin's talking about. Look at the way they even treat their own allies. That's pride. All right.
God.
You know, and verse 11, which goes into this economy real nice. Wealth gotten by vanity, all right, shall be diminished. But he that gathereth by labor shall increase. Yes, this devil, beginning with, you know, all these Edomite nations, man, they do nothing but skullduggery. That's how they gained any riches that they have gotten. But for the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, man, they're going to be brought down to the sword and destruction and desolation and poverty and ultimately slavery. But yeah, can't go on.
God, I want to play a. Well, actually, first I want to read a little bit. This is something that Apostle Tahar had brought out, and I found the article interesting, and it kind of leads into multiple things that we're talking about right now, because you know there's several things going on right now, but they're all really tied together. When we talk, just like you was mentioning, the buildup of, you know, you've had the U.S. and Russia basically re-enter a Cold War state by removing or not agreeing to certain treaties or terms on weapons proliferation. You know, same thing with the space program, the SpaceX program that Trump is now pumping billions of dollars into. You know, you got China wanting to advance their satellite and what's the word for this, when you want to navigate your missile systems, you use satellite, the guidance missile systems, you know. And so the U.S. is like, oh, hell no, you know. So this is in the express.co.uk. The title is World War III Warning, U.S. Russia row give green light to development of new weapons. And I'm just going to play it and
give a green light for the weapon industry in the US or Russia to actually openly develop new missiles. That also would be an answer to Chinese development today. I mean, clearly it is an opening up to additional and faster weapons race across the world, and who's going to suffer from it are different areas of operation, whether it's Yemen, whether it's different countries where those missiles are being used today and sold by the US or sold by other countries. So we're moving away from a multilateral position of reductions of weapons globally, and instead we're going back to a realistic world of countries individually arming and developing more and more weapons at the expense of civilians worldwide.
Boom. See? So it says Donald Trump's threat to withdraw from the intermediate range nuclear forces treaty will give green light for many countries around the world to produce new nuclear missiles. More international relations expert Remy Pete, I guess that's how you say it. You know? So, you know, we could play this all day, and but you brothers can pull it up. These nations are not just magically doing this stuff out of nowhere. Nothing just happening by coincidence. It's all in design because so many other things are going on, man, at once.
I got a precept.
Let's go, champ.
This is Joel 3:10. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
Yeah, once these nations come together and put together their military advantages, then they become strong against the U.S. because realistically, and we've talked about this before in different algorithm videos, the American military is absolutely ridiculous. It's insanely powerful when you compare it individually up against different nations. They have more jets, they have more missiles, they have more advanced technology in general overall. They have more guns, they have more tanks, they have more ships than anybody else. They spend more money, they have more resources. Okay? They just do. It's just true. But when you combine China's Air Force and men, the number of men, troops that they got, with the amount of tanks that Russia has, and missile technology and defense systems that Russia has, then you got something. You combine that with the Iranian Navy and their frigates and different carriers that they got, then you got something, man. You know what I'm saying? Then you combine that with the communication systems that come out of India, all right? And then you start cutting off different oil transports to Europe and the United States through some of those deals. Then you actually have a war. And we're starting to see people, different nations, move and position themselves at the certain corner of the cafeteria, so to speak, to get ready for an all-out food fight. Okay?
I got a quick article. Well, I got two articles. You can get the second one I just sent you first, because you mentioned about them working together. Well, Russia just did the largest military exercise they've ever had with China. That was like last month. Vostok 2018.
What was it called again?
It's the old news pipeline link.
Okay, did you send that?
Yeah, I sent it to you just now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry, my bad. You just
Nah,
sent
it's all good.
Cause I'm not seeing it, bro. Am I tripping?
It's on Google. Google Hangouts.
It's not pulling up for me, bro. Like the little chat that we got going?
Yeah, the little chat underneath the video I sent you should be there.
I'm staring at it out.
Oh, that's Satan, man. I'm actually looking at it. It said sent. Oh, man.
Go to the chat that's on the actual Hangout itself.
Oh, okay. Oh, saying it's a different chat. So lucky. Shit. There you go. My bad.
Okay. See? No, just playing. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. See, man, there's so much information, going out, man. Literally, man, we wanted to do this algorithm, but we was talking about what we wanted to talk about. And I was like, man, we have to talk about everything because everything's connected. Everything's so connected. This is an all news pipeline. It says World War III battle lines are drawn as Russia and China's Vostok 18, a dress rehearsal for conquering NATO. A dress rehearsal for conquering NATO, ? It says signify their de facto alliance against the United States. It says Russia's Vostok 18, the largest military exercise of the 21st century, conducted September 11th through 17th, passed little noted and less understood by Washington and press fixated on now Justice Kavanaugh's adolescent sex life. A few of the significant highlights is they mobilized 300,000 troops, 36,000 tanks and other vehicles, 1,000 aircraft, and 80 ships. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu described it as the largest exercise since Biped 81, the largest Cold War exercise that 37 years ago simulated invading NATO. Vostok 18 apparently utilized other forces not advertised, including Russia's Mediterranean fleet fighting a real war in Syria and the Strategic Rocket Forces missile armies simulating a global nuclear World War III. Vostok 18 is perhaps the biggest military exercise in world history. And the United States just recently responded. NATO just recently responded with its own war game. I'm reading it maybe yesterday, a few days ago.
Yeah, and I believe they just sent more ammunition into Europe.
Yep. And this is why I keep stressing. These war games and simulations are ridiculously expensive. Do you know how expensive it is to get 300 people, feed them, put them in tanks, roll them around, shoot up stuff, get aircraft, jet fuel, missile simulations? You're spending millions. You're not doing this to play around. You're doing this because you're serious and you want to make sure that you're ready to go. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why the Native Americans and the Israelites were able to be taken down by Esau. It's because we had very peaceful tribes and ways of life. We didn't do war games, man. The only thing we did was hunt. So you got to spend money, resources, time, and energy in order to build up a military and sustain it and have it ready to mobilize globally. Not just you protecting your crib. This is you taking over the world. Okay? Now, it says, Volstagg 18 was a joint Russian-Chinese exercise signifying de facto alignment against the United States. Russia and China conduct many joint military exercises. Their nuclear collaboration began February in 2001 in a combined nuclear war scenario against the U.S. over Taiwan. The Sino-Russian Friendship Treaty promises their military cooperation will further strategic stability and security around the world. Okay, let's see.
I think that'll be it on that.
Okay.
But I sent you like 3 other articles. You could just like read the title real quick.
Let me hit it.
Okay.
The next one is on Hal Turner Radio. Let me see. Let me just copy it. Pull that over real quick. All right, this one says, on World News on the Hal Turner Radio Show, China's president orders military to prepare for war. This was written yesterday, October 28th. It says, China's President Xi Jinping ordered the military region responsible for monitoring the South China Sea and Taiwan to assess the situation it is facing and boost its capability so it can strengthen the mission to concentrate preparations for fighting a war. As tensions continue to mount over the future of the South China Sea and Taiwan, while diplomatic relations between Washington and Beijing hit rock bottom. And that's something that I wanted to go into briefly on this. People in Yahoo Finance today, which they said caused stocks to drop even more. And it reads, U.S. is said to be considering imposing additional tariffs on China. And we've been saying currency wars. You know, when the U.S. started manipulating its currency by doing QI 1, 2, and 3, pumping all these dollars into the market, China responded by reducing the yuan to making it even more competitive in the market, and then initiating new banking systems with its allies in the East. Then after that, you started to see the rumblings of trade wars. And now we're seeing that we're in the height of those trade wars with these active tariffs being placed from the United States and China. And usually that comes right before you start having real wars, okay? So it says the U.S. is said to be considering imposing tariffs on all remaining Chinese imports if discussions between President Donald Trump and Xi Jinping go poorly, according to reports from Bloomberg, citing people familiar with the matter. The announcement of new tariffs could take place as early as December and would amount to about $257 billion worth of goods, according. It says the U.S. stock slid following the report, with the industrials heavy Dow losing more than 100 points. Okay. So, and that leads to what we've been talking about this whole time, as these markets continue to tumble and rumble, right? Which is beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. Going back into this article, let's see. Did you want me to read this article? I'll touch in on this article here. This was back in September 25th. Russia seek to bypass U.S. sanctions on Iran with new payment channels. Let's see. It says, after a meeting between the countries, Britain, China, France, Germany, and Russia announced their commitment to assisting Iran's exports and continuing trade despite U.S. sanctions. This is going to come to a head in November, most likely, bro. They're supposed to, these sanctions are supposed to be started up like November 4th, right? But they're already talking about how Trump in the U.S. are already starting these sanctions, and when we get things popped up, and we always talk about this in relation to Revelation the 17th chapter. All right, with those 10 horn nations and the allies of this place, those that are confederate with thee shall bring thee even unto the border. This is what we're seeing with Great Britain, France, and Germany. You know, some of the other so-called U.S. allies like Turkey. Okay, it says the remaining parties to the Iran nuclear deal on Monday agreed to keep working to maintain trade with Tehran, despite skepticism this is possible as U.S. sanctions to choke off Iranian oil sales resume in November. See that? U.S. President Donald Trump decided in May to abandon the pact and to restore economic sanctions on Iran, including those that seek to force the OPEC members' major oil customers to stop buying Iranian crude. Okay. In a statement after a meeting of Britain, China, France, Germany, Russia, and Iran, the group said they were determined to develop payment mechanisms to continue trade with Iran despite skepticism by many diplomats that this will be possible. Mindful of the urgency and the need for tangible results, the participants welcomed practical proposals to maintain and develop payment channels, notably the initiative to establish a special purpose vehicle to facilitate payments related to Iran's exports, including oil. The group said in a joint statement issued after the statement. Okay? So, man, so you best believe, you know, they making these announcements here. They ain't playing around. These things are going down, man. Okay? These things are definitely going down. Oh, man. Let's see what we got here on Norway. You have any other points that you want to bring out, Art?
No, just those two articles. There's another one where the US just delivered some ammunition into Europe.
Okay, you want me to read that one next?
Yeah, Khan. I mean, it's just you ain't got to go all into it. It just shows what's going on. All of this is happening within the last month.
Yeah, it's going down, bro. All right, so this is the RT article. It says the U.S. delivers largest ammunition shipment to Europe since the bombing of Yugoslavia in 1999, which is also prophetic, you know, because what's that going to? Revelation 13 and 11?
Yeah, he caused a fire to come down from heaven.
Mm-hmm. So it says Ramstein Air Base in Germany has received around 100 containers of ammunition in the largest delivery of ordnance to the U.S. forces in Europe since NATO bombing of Yugoslavia in 1999. The U.S. Air Forces in Europe, Air Forces in Africa said that a variety of munitions rolled into Ramstein during the month of October. The delivery is intended to support NATO's European Deterrence Initiative and pump up the resources available to the U.S. Air Force in Europe. Pretty much the point on that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it on that. And then you got the other one the brothers just sent me from Norway.
Boom. It says making Norway less safe. 50,000 troops engaged in largest NATO drills in decades. This might be what I was reading earlier. Let me play this.
$50,000 troops, 250 aircraft, 65 warships, and 10,000 tanks and vehicles. That's a pretty straightforward message.
It is ambitious and it is demanding. In recent years, Europe's security environment has significantly deteriorated.
NATO has been careful not to mention Moscow as the boogeyman, which the exercise is aimed against, but there are no illusions. NATO jets will be flying near 200 kilometers from Russian borders. Troops will be learning to fight in cold conditions against the simulated enemy that is, unsurprisingly, exactly as powerful as Moscow.
The effect of this activity will increase the tension between Norway and Russia. Despite quite clumsy attempts by the representatives of the alliance and its states to picture such military activity as defensive, it's obvious that...
Bro, long story short, they getting ready.
Yeah.
Long story short, they getting ready, bro. This thing is going down. You know, this is another article here that I was listening to, and of course, I think I had that pulled up actually. Did you want to make a point on that last article though?
No, you said it straight, man. That's what we're showing you, that they're getting ready, man. Everything's connected. It all leads to the mark of the beast. It's all connected. Economic collapse, the mark of the beast, race wars, the time of Jacob's trouble, World War III, the destruction of America, the return of Yahweh Shai, all the final prophecies that we look for, they're all being brought together as we speak, man. You know, it's all coming together, man.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful, man. And I haven't seen it been so much at one time. There's always been times where things were getting hot and heavy, and we were like, oh, okay, we need to definitely watch. But now we're seeing like legitimate moves, man. You know, I'm even just kind of reading this right here. This just popped up in RT News. It says Russia looks to eliminate U.S. dollar from trade with African countries. You know, it says, I think it is possible to use other currencies in Africa. Mazepin, who is also a co-owner of Russia's largest fertilizer manufacturers, told journalists. It says, we know that VTB is planning to extend its activity in the region, so we could switch to settlements in the currency that are more convenient to the lender. Man, and so they getting ready to move, man. They're getting ready to get out of this thing, you know? And we're seeing this in the news more than ever, you know, more than ever. Okay?
And the thing is, it's in Esau's nature to resort to the sword, man.
Yep.
Because even when you go into World War, you got World War I and even World War II, Britain played a big role in setting up Germany, because Germany was basically outdoing Britain economically.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Britain basically pushed for them wars. And if you know about World War II, Germany, Hitler tried to sign a peace treaty with Britain. He never intended to invade Britain, but Britain was like, nah, we're not having Germany become a competitor to the British Empire.
Right.
Because you gotta go back to, when you go back to World War II, that was during the end of the British Empire. Like, Britain went for broke.
Yeah.
But they're the scriptures speak about the seventh head.
Right.
So you had the British Empire was in power, or had the hegemony over the other nations prior to the American Empire, which came up out of World War II. So these devils, they got the same spirit. Whenever they're losing control economically, which America is losing their vice grip on the world, as we've just seen, they're going to resort to the sword, man. They ain't going to just, oh, fuck it, we're going to go down into the dust. Nah, man, they're going to fight. They're going to try and destroy the competition, but it's still going to end in their desolation.
Man, it's beautiful, bro. Beautiful. So definitely right now, you know, now is definitely a time to be watching these markets. I'm watching these markets because I don't tend to watch them. I don't tend to watch the markets because they're so manipulated. But lately I have definitely been just kind of keeping my eye on what's going on and listening. You got all these different people saying different things. We understand that everything is trending towards prophecy. So chiefly you just got to keep your eye on the prophecy and stay in the spirit. But, right now things are building up tremendously. Okay, it's building up tremendously. Did you have anything out?
Yeah, I had Luke the 21st chapter. Let me just get it up. Because even over here with the whole Brexit thing, Britain is through. They are absolutely through. They ain't gonna get a deal. And you could look to, there's a good chance that once it's announced it's gonna be a no deal, the pound is gonna plummet. And all the scavengers are gonna come in because nobody likes Britain anyway. So ain't nobody gonna help them. So even that is gonna weaken Europe. Because that's another thing that's gonna happen in November, because pretty much the deadline for them to make a withdrawal agreement is the pretty much in the next 2 weeks. But if you understand the situation, there is no deal to be made because the EU want Britain to put a border between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK to maintain the Good Friday Agreement, but Britain don't want to do that because they know pretty much that's going to mean the end of the UK, because you already got Scotland saying that if Ireland gets to stay in the UK, the custom union, if Northern Ireland, get to stay in the custom union, pretty much the Scottish are going to have a referendum for independence from the UK, which they will pass because nobody in Scotland wants to be part of the UK anymore. And they're going to join the EU, which is basically the breakup of Britain. And then you're looking at Wales. So there's all kind of madness and chaos breaking out everywhere, man. In all these little political parties, it don't matter whether it's France, Germany, England. There's all kind of tumults and madness going on in politics right now, beginning with America. But I wanna get Luke 21 and 25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear. When this whole thing breaks down to the base elements, man, ain't gonna be no more concerts. The scripture told you they shall not drink wine with a song. The daughters of music are gonna be brought. Ain't gonna be no fucking Beyonce concerts, man. That's what we're trying to fucking tell you people. You people are too used to life just carrying on. No. When all hell breaks loose, everything's gonna happen fast, man. And all of a sudden, you're gonna be wondering where you're gonna get your next meal from. You understand? You ain't gonna be worrying about no fucking Instagram models or none of that bullshit. Shit is gonna get fucking real on this planet, man. And people are gonna be looking for places to run, but ain't gonna be nowhere to run to because the whole earth is gonna be in straits. People gonna have heart attacks, man. This is real shit, man. You better get right while you can. This ain't no fucking joke, man. All these scoffers and scorners, man, they go, man. It says men's hearts failing them for fear, for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. The martial law, the race riots, cannibalism. Okay? Dead bodies in the streets, sewer system jacked up. Just madness. That's what's coming. Madness, chaos, death, and around every corner. Yeah, not like how it is now. You can go out with your lady on the weekend. You know, you go down into London, go to Byron's, order yourself a burger, then go to a play. That's all going to be shut down.
Absolutely, man.
Okay, your pensions, don't worry about that. That's gone. There's what, 4 point something quadrillion in it. We ain't even talked about the derivatives market, the derivatives bubble. That'll pretty much suck up everything into it.
Mm-hmm. Really?
So your bank, that means your bank account's gonna go to zero. Man, it says, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Right? These nations are gonna be at war, real war. These weapons, this destructive power that these nations have built up over the years, they're gonna be used. Yeah? Niggas like to talk about their block. Your block's gonna get blown up and disintegrated by some short range missiles, man.
Mm-hmm. In an instant.
Man, you don't know, man.
Yeah.
And then after all that, the mark of the beast, time of Jacob's trouble, all kind of madness, then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the cloud with power and great glory. Just to cap it off. Now, real quick, if I can, I want to basically pull up the word perplexity.
Yeah, please, man. You know, I just
When
wanted
we go,
to make a comment. What I wanted to say is that, you know, I'm pulling up right now.
Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching
TV radio, and this guy, Christopher Green. I really don't like Christopher Green, but I noticed since he's made his transition into wanting to be the good Christian, that he's gotten way more scoffers. Like, he's got people coming on his comment boards in droves saying, "Ah, you've been saying this. Ah, you've been saying that. Ah, you do this. Ah, you do that." And so, you know, it's kind of made me come to his defense. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm like, "Well, F y'all, man. He trying to tell y'all what's going down, and y'all think it's a game." You know? Even though I think he's just trying to profit, just like he did back in 2008. He tells you he's a piece of shit secretly. You know, yeah. I read into people like this guy, you know.
Hey, because if he really believed, a guy like him would disappear with what money he's got.
Yeah.
Hide somewhere.
And chill. You wouldn't see, you know, just be sitting right here in the middle. Because, you know, out of all places, America, the people here are not going to be able to handle what's about to happen, bro.
Bro, I was watching a program about that fentanyl fucking epidemic, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when all hell breaks loose, them motherfuckers ain't gonna get their drugs, man.
Oh, man.
Them motherfuckers is gonna be like that movie Blade 2. You know, with the motherfuckers with their face opening up and shit.
Yeah, they're gonna be losing their mind. All these people on these antidepressants, psychoactive drugs, when the trucks stop moving and all these people's hands get to fidgeting, you think that these weirdos that's putting these so-called weirdos putting these pipe bombs, people going up in synagogues, shooting people, running over people for no reason, going down the block, just using people as human bonus points. You know, these people are going to be losing it, man, especially here in Texas where everybody's got a gun. It's going to be seriously Grand Theft Auto in real life if the trucks stop. But we're being ridiculous. You still have people that think that we're being ridiculous. You can read about all this stuff in history, see all these other things that's going on across the world right now. And people really don't think that what's happening in Syria or what happened in Iraq or what happened in Afghanistan, what happened in Libya, what happened in, Zimbabwe, what happened in Venezuela, what's happening in Argentina, what's happening in Brazil, what's happening in Greece, what's getting ready to happen in different parts of Europe, what's going on in Crimea, I'm naming all these places, and where do you think it came from? It came from monetary policies and basically these oligarchical powers, these Edomites that runs all these banks, and they're getting ready to do the same thing to America, man. To gobble up more and more resources, strength, and control. You got it out.
Yeah, Khan, I got the word for perplexity.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, the word there is aporia. And it says the state of one who is in perplexity. Now, when you go to the root of the word, is aporio, which means to be without resources, to be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, not to know which way to turn. Right? Boy, chaos. To be at a loss with oneself, be in doubt, not to know how to decide or what to do, to be perplexed. These people are going to be in a terrible state. These nations are going to be in a terrible state, man. That's why a lot of people will die trying to get that chip, because they're going to think, oh man, where FEMA at? I need some of them FEMA food packets. They're going to die trying to get that chip.
Man.
That's in the scriptures, man. That's what's coming, man. Perplexity of nations, distress. Now, the word distress is sinoke, which means a holding together, a narrowing, a contracting part of a way. Metaphor, straits, distress, anguish, basically pressure. This whole world is going to be brought under extreme pressure, sword, famine, death. And it's building up, man. We keep warning the people, man. And like the brother said, man, like 10 years ago, there weren't all these combinations. These birth pains weren't coming from every angle like this. Brother, give me a list of things to research. It's like a whole page.
Man.
Even I'm confused. I'm like, God damn, like how am I gonna research all this?
Yeah, it's like, okay. But then it connects with something else, and it's like you don't want to leave that out. And you saying, okay, I'm gonna do a sit down, we're gonna do a lesson. Then you realize, man, dang, this lesson is gonna take me 2 hours. You know? And so, you know, something's getting ready to happen, and it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. I'm gonna play this clip by Chris. All right.
God.
Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching AMTV, Alternative Media Television. I've got some major important updates for you. The Dow it's down another 500 points a day. Approximately 30 days ago, I warned of a huge stock market crash, followed by civil unrest and famine. By the way, all of which still is coming. Most people ignored it. We are down several thousand points since that warning. We are in official correction territory, down 10%. Again, I warned, just go back to this video about 30 days ago, even prior to that. You know, this is what my contacts in Wall Street have been telling me. They've been telling me to get out. They've been telling me it's going to be a bloodbath. They've been telling me that the general population is going to get slaughtered once again. This is an epic crash. It's going to be worse than 1929.
Yeah, something up?
No, it was just very amusing to me.
Yeah.
It's going to be worse than 2008, worse than 2009. Consumer spending, for example, even though it was up today, those are lagging indicators, right? The herd is always the last to the party, the last to understand the macro move. I saw this in Los Angeles, for example, after meeting with Steve Wozniak. By the way, get that exclusive interview and footage only at BitcoinRich.com. Not only will you learn all the fundamentals of how to get started in Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and also blockchain, but I get up close and personal, providing access to individuals that you normally cannot access. Steve Wozniak being one of them. Also, I interviewed some major venture capitalists, Tim Draper, and the hedge fund manager, very well known. I'll save that as a surprise. That'll only be exclusively aired at BitcoinRich.com. So check that out and enter the promo code Wozniak today. So make sure you take action. So guys, this is very, very, very serious, and it's going to get a lot worse. I also want to tell you a little bit about just the macro shift that's occurring here. In the last 48 hours, I've spoken with two individuals. One was my Uber driver coming back from the airport from Los Angeles, who was driving one of those new Teslas, and it's a self-driving car. He showed me how it worked. Pretty cool. It shows you that we're only 1 to 2 years away from total self-driving. Your kids will never drive. By the way, if you have children today, they will never drive. They're being replaced by robots. That gentleman, who was a younger guy,
Somebody would think that what he just said is absolutely ridiculous, right? But we know that this man wants to merge and integrate you into his digital consciousness. And we've been trying to tell y'all people, like, this mark of the beast, the RFID chip, this whole global beast system, they getting ready to roll this bad boy out, man. It's coming. And so you go and listen to more of his, videos on AMTV, on YouTube. He's got some really good ones actually that he's uploaded recently. Even though sometimes I think he's an idiot, but he's got some he's got some videos up, and I've been watching them recently. And he's even now cracking out his old Bible, trying to get in the spirit. But it just shows you that these people that deal with the higher up elites, they know more. And even I have a financial mentor, and he tells me, he's like, look, we coming into one of those periods. And basically, when millionaires get to talking about these times, they see it as an opportunity to get money. They look at it as an opportunity to bring people onto their business, as an opportunity to short the markets and get in cheap in certain areas, because they think it's just going to be a simple shift. And not even simple, it's going to be dramatic for everybody else. But for them, they think they'll be able to buy certain assets cheap, while the big banks move their money into something else. So these guys are like, look, man, I'm going to make some bread. They're going to start doing this AI technology, robotics, blockchain technology. I'm going to invest in that. Wait for all hell to break loose. And once everything recenters itself, I'll be one of the guys that's going to be sitting while everything's getting ready to flip.
Hey, obviously, them guys never read the 10 planks of communism, man. The destruction of private property. Yeah. All that shit's going to be confiscated, man. Yeah. It's going to be nationalized in the time of a crisis. That's in the FEMA executive orders, man. Your property, your car, they can take all of that.
That's right. And that's not what these guys are not considering. They're not considering how everything is going to be sucked up into a universal vacuum. And you're not going to have wealth is not going to be accessible to the public. It's just you're going to get resources distributed to you, while most of the people are going to be eliminated. And this is what they don't want to recognize in the prophecies that it goes in, because he starts this thing out. Christopher Green starts the video out like, look, famine is coming. All this is going to happen. Just like it says here in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, the 17th verse, it says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Okay? That's what's getting ready to come, man. When you skip down to verse 22, it says, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Okay? Men are about to get ready to fight. People are about to get ready to battle, and it's going to lead and culminate to the biggest war in the history of the world. Whether you believe it or not, this is what the earth is trending to. Okay? You got something up?
Nah, it's lucky. Nah.
Okay. I was thinking about reading something from this, but as I was reading it, I really didn't see anything that really brought anything out that we haven't already mentioned. So that really goes into the major stuff that I wanted to touch in on, man. I guess, we can wrap it up. And unless you had something else you wanted to touch in on,
we're gonna have to go back in and reassess.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's gonna be more coming up over the next weeks. You got a lot of distraction. It's funny that the guy mentioned how the whole Kavanaugh thing was a distraction during those military drills. So you look for more and more stupid shit happening too.
Oh yeah.
Insignificant bullshit. Cause that Kavanaugh shit, she didn't just come out and say that shit. They got to her and said, look, this is what you're gonna say, this is what you're gonna do. Because we need this. That was all theater. You know.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, real shit's happening in the background. They got the whole world eyes on this assassination, but there's other things happening.
Mm.
You know. So hey, brothers gotta stay circumspect, stay salty, man, because you see how Esau's building everything up. Everything's gonna come down real soon, man.
Yep. Yeah. You know that. I'll close out with this statement. This is something I want to touch on. This will just be kind of a side algorithm for you guys that are more nerdy like me. I like to really get into stuff and learn more things about it. I mentioned this on the last couple of sit downs that I wanted to talk about credit rating systems and how these different things happen in an economy can affect the credit rating of the United States and other major banks and corporations, and how that leads to that can lead to an instantaneous market crash. I'm gonna play this clip just to kind of touch in on it, okay?
We're already taking a look at the impact on Chinese stock markets, investor sentiment, consumer sentiment also being hurt. So even if things stay like they are right now, what would be the impact on economic growth, on financial markets in China and also the rest of Asia?
So the uncertainty, as you point out, is really important, because one of the impacts in China, of course, would be that if manufactured goods exported to the U.S. were higher cost, demand would falter, and that would likely lead to slower job growth in China. And so if there's any fear of a loss of jobs or a loss of higher wages in China, that hits consumer sentiment and ultimately could hit consumer spending. And that would have a pretty strong impact on the Chinese economy. We're already seeing
people are not talking about how you see China taking all these treasuries out of the market. You see how China is buying more gold along with Russia and some other nations, and simultaneously the Chinese economy is suffering right now. As the U.S. Economy suffers, the Chinese economy is suffering because they're linked. Just like you was talking about those dominoes, they're linked. But on the back end, China is trying to support and prepare a different economy to roll out when the current major system collapses.
Spending begin to falter in China. So that would be the immediate and most direct impact on the Chinese economy.
And Steve, I'm not sure if you follow baseball, but we had this story on the Bloomberg with the World Series now getting underway that even baseball caps here in the US were getting really expensive, or at least 25% more expensive, because they're all coming from China, or most of them are. So are consumers already here in the US feeling the impact, and how much worse could it get depending on the different trade scenarios?
Yeah, this is where the impact in the U.S. could actually be a little bit greater than the impact in China, because we would see an impact on, and already are beginning to see an impact on, consumer prices. And if consumers have to spend more on goods that are imported from China, then there's less, of course, left over to spend on other kinds of goods or services in the U.S. Add to that the effect on manufacturers of having to pay more for imported intermediate goods that go.
Man, so basically, he's just talking about how these trade wars is just making it more and more expensive for the Americans to buy certain goods, and how that can overall impact the economy. And what I wanted to touch in on is how these Moody's analysts, they do full market analysis on these countries and basically say, yo, you can get loans, you can't get loans. You can start this up, you can't start this up. And as the interest rates climb up and everything goes down, that can instantaneously, those reports can make the stock market just tumble instantaneously, man. And so we're hearing all this chatter in the markets, and it could be any time where that type of thing happens. Like tomorrow we could wake up and the Dow Jones be down 1,500 points. So we'll see, who's to say? It's all in the hands of the Heavenly Father, man. So that's all I wanted to say on that. Did you have anything out?
No.
Hey, man. This was just an algorithm update for you, Akian, man. Lord willing, this was edifying. Call halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Makakash. I want to send double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone. And much peace, love, and salutations to you. I'm out there pushing words, sincerity, and truth. Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.